so awesome to see everybody here. And it's just a beautiful energy in this space. So before we get moving into the conversation, I just want to remind, I speak inspirationally, and as we discover the conversation, it is something I want to hear, because I do not know what's going to come forward. So I'm just as curious as you are, and I will have to embrace that in my own way possible. But you guys have beautiful spiritualist hymnals in your hand, and on page number 5, the first sentence reads here, you don't have to do it, I'm going to read it for you. It is a golden key in the hands of God, an open door to greater things. And the title is Spiritualism on that top of that page. And a part of that is, it is written in sense of spiritualism, but I will generalize it in a simple way. Regardless of where your journey are, you are the key that was made to open your own doors. Nobody has that for you. And you may have to understand which way it's going to turn. You can lock it up, or you can open it up. You have to recognize that. And a part of that is, it's in the effort. An effort equaling into action. So practicing and practicing and practicing and honing your spirit and your soul's performance ability until it becomes a second nature. And the second nature is like breath. Breath that moves in and moves out effortlessly without even us knowing. And that also is a key to the connection between our physical world and the unseen world, or the spaces that are beyond our comprehension. Because through breath, we transcend within the layers of our energy. And it takes us in and out on those spaces of experience that are hard to explain, perhaps because they are hard to have a proof of continuity or existence, because they are just there. Now, all of us can sit in this room and use our breath in the same manner, but we will transcend in our spaces of experience within the ability of our management of our breath. Shallow breath, moderate breath, deep breath, long breath, and so forth allows us to just manage ourselves. Many years ago, I discovered on that little, I'm paraphrasing that code, that our life is measured in breaths. So my thought was, am I breathing too much? Am I going to cut short my life? Or should I take only 6 breaths every hour so that I can prolong my life, right? But that's just the simplicity of my brain is sometimes it's just like a clueless kid. But at the same time, if that is the case, perhaps the idea could be, let's just take some quality breath. Because if the shallow breath is through fear and suffering and torment, how about having a sustainable, consistent breath and let things fall where they need to fall? So check on your breath if you're having a moment of any kind. It is not only the one section of one kind of experience, because it will tell you how your breath moves, and then what happens. Your awareness comes back right into your own present experience at that time. So through those experience and trial and error, like our beautiful musicians here, I know they have the second nature. They can close their eyes and go through the keyboard without even recognizing where the hand is, where the finger is, right? And that's the part of the practices. Make something a second nature or a primary nature so you're not even thinking about what's going on. Isn't there? So part of that awareness moves us into different ways, moves us into a whole different dimension. Is there? And the skill is, it's a never-ending journey. If you realize that now, you might master something in its own way. No matter where you get, there's always something more beyond that point. Because we believe in infinite intelligence. So why do we choose to define what we are working with? Even, once again, I like to hang to both sides of the equation, the good ones and the bad ones. So think about it. I just had a moment in my own awareness for myself, and then through some other experiences is there. And I have recognized a little small aha, and I feel I've spoken about it before, but it's the reminder to me on an ongoing basis. If I'm having too much of an exciting, joyous moment, is it okay to stay there for a very long time? I think we need to sustain it because it doesn't come by often. So savoring it through consistency is a big thing. But at the same time, when I'm in the low moment, I have made choices to stay there for just long enough to chisel out any sharp edges that I have within myself. Because it's all about softening of who we are. The undefined, uncharted version of our soul's journey is to learn and unlearn and then relearn, and it's perpetual. It goes on and on and on. It never ends. So choose to hit a pause button. If you're having a wonderful time, try to pause it and see how long it stays. And then if you have the tendency of wanting the shoe to fall off, see how long that thought stays and how quickly it changes it. And then when you get to the other part, once again, managing that sense of presence within your own abilities will give us the finesse that we have. Spiritualism has definitely allowed me to push my own boundaries in some ways to my own awareness, my skill set, my sensitivity, and I've learned over time I cannot be comfortable in one place because the moment I get there, they'll throw a curveball and I would not know how to handle it. It happens all the time. One thing is working, you're getting better at it, and poof, something else shows up. No different than life, is it? The only thing is, on the other end, nobody exists. That's the kicker. But yet, things are relatable because we are experiencing in our own version of reality. My reality is much different than anybody else. And your reality is not like mine. We might have some sense of similarity, but it is really not. I'm not in your shoes, you're not in my shoes. And even if I tried to, believe me, it would not fit the right way. Just saying, you can try that. Size 7 shoes, two same people, their foot structure is different. It will not fit the same way. But the idea of here is to not get in one place for too long. Just wait enough. But try to be ready to move as soon as it shifts, because that will teach you the easier way to navigate your sense of self, where you are, where you want to be, and how you want to experience anything. And that's another thing I've learned and picked up over time was reminder says, Joy, you always have a choice. And that has stayed with me for many years at this time, and I remind myself, I have a choice. I can just sit there and just brood about something, or I can just go find joy in something tiny. And that has become a nice place to just segue my own emotions and in my own mind. And I speak about emotions because the continuity of the afterlife through our ancestors, those that have passed on, the very first thing, beyond the point of black and white evidence, is the emotion that's very palpable. Because you have heard other teachers through this podium, because I know those teachers, that says, we just cannot have one sense working to have a full experience. It has to be more than 1, 2, 3 senses that work at the same time to give an experience. So when you're looking at an evidence, it's going to give you a sense of an emotion. It feels good, it doesn't feel good, so on and so forth. So keeping in checks and emotion is very important. And that also is one of the layers and the key that you have been provided. And how do you have that? How do you work with that? In India, there's a little quote, and I will try to do my best. I have not spoken Hindi in a very long time, and I'm trying to get back to the track. I talk to myself, it doesn't work. Nobody tells me that. But there's a little saying in Hinduism, is there, Jake mane bhavna jaisi, Prabhu murat dekhi tin taisi. Jake mane, the feelings, the ideation that we have within ourselves. Prabhu murat dekhi tin taisi. we see the same version of God the way we have those feelings and thoughts in ourselves. So it doesn't matter what religious definition you come from, even within that, your ability to connect with that version of piety or religious sense is still based on where you are. So the instrument continuously seeks refinement, fine-tuning. And if we deny that instrument, that opportunity, are we doing the best service to ourselves? And those opportunities comes by living in the emotions that have been presented within ourselves. Something that feels home, enjoy it. Something that doesn't feel home is usually telling you what needs to be worked at. And then you take one corner of a string and then chase it. So that same thing is, the soul in me seeks the soul in you. It's no different than that quote that I recited. The version of God that we see anywhere in anything or in any expression is within the ability of ourselves. So if you can enjoy a beautiful flower, a flying bird, a eagle, a hawk, and anything of that nature, we are being expressed in the same version of God's essence in different shape and capacity. So could you love in a version of expression anybody, even though you know the reciprocation is zero or in the negative order? Could you hold that space of love for an individual when you know between the interaction you are not receiving what you're giving? It's a big ask. But at the same time, it's in the journey of that space of discovery within ourselves, what we are capable of. And if you deem that experience simply as a qualified teacher stretching you to your bounds of experience and knowing that divine light or the God essence within you, why not? Why not? And that is a sense of saying what the divinity within ourselves can push us and stretch us into those experiences. It's so much easy to lock that key, don't let that experience seep back through in our experience, rather than leave it unlocked and see what pushes through. Because regardless of our wanting, we will run in through our experience. Experience of what we can be rather than what we are. Now, the sensible thing is to not run head into anything, because we have all done that in our own way. And the part is perhaps wait till the timeline is thinning or narrowing, so it becomes a little bit more cooperative, cohesive to make sense of things. Patience is the biggest layer of the key that this ability has been given within us. Patience. Patience. Because if we wait long enough, things find its own corrective action, regardless of what you're trying or not. Everything has the ability to sort itself out. But us as humans, we swing in this part of we need it yesterday or the day before yesterday, and then we just change the harmony of our lives. In the Spiritualist Chapel of Melbourne, this is many years ago, this thing spurted out in a conversation. Harmony is to be experienced, it cannot be created. Until things are in alignment, you don't feel the sense of harmony. But there are other key ingredients to come up to that point of harmony. And it is the arrangement of things that makes you feel the harmony. The sense of well-being is there is no order. You have a sense of well-being because you have put yourself, your body, in alignment of experiences that makes you feel good about yourself. It's not there as sitting in Target for $2.99, you will buy it. You have to have that approach of feeling it. And the feeling is through action, through exercising the emotional quality, emotional intelligence, and moving into the parts of life. So, if anybody, regardless of your age, you're finding any part of your personality redundant, or it's not working as it should be. Or I've tried it many times, it still doesn't take me anywhere. Could you see that as it's time for some possible spring cleaning? If it's not being used for 4 years, or it has not been effectively useful for 4 years, let me unlock that door and see where it leads me. It's not saying to throw it out. Approach it from a different vantage point of your life, your wisdom, because you're not the same person when you once created that. Now, holding on to personality is another frictional place that I have discovered in my own journey. Sometimes when I put up my personality, it comes to bite me in one way, shape, or form. And most of the time, it is at the cost of my own peace. It's not what it's creating, it's not what is affecting somebody, it's my own peace that's attached. And I'm learning slowly and gradually and very, very slowly and very, very gradually. It's not worth it. But at the same time, I have learned also not to lock the doors. Just wait and watch. Patience is the biggest virtue. So your journey as a human that holds the spirit, the same spirit that goes and mingles to the other side when we leave this physical bodies behind, carries parts of our personality. Since the doorway to reformation is not close to any one of us, we still have that evolutionary space of continuing to grow. Guess what? That aspect of dissolving the personality is still accessible in the afterlife. Some people are fine, some souls are fine with the way it is, some work. And when those souls leave personality, perhaps their recognition becomes very challenging. So don't take anything that's right or wrong, it's just they are evolving and they're moving on to different layers that are accessible there. So Club 7000 in the spirit world, so to speak, they're evolving in their zones and they're going to the higher order of spiritual clubs. I'm just simplifying it for common space. So your evolvement continues to grow. And the journey of the soul is to go to the oversoul or the divine infinite space at some point. Where it started from, its pursuit is get there one way or the other. So evolving into that part is just the thing. So if we are evolving, something within us is urging us to look at life a little bit more through the intelligence and wisdom. Why should we deny ourselves that opportunity? So the doorway to reformation for myself, and I speak this as a closing statement, is not closed at any time soon, no matter how well I end this conversation, how well I go outside that doorway to reformation is right in my face in each interaction, in each space, and it challenges me. And a part of that is it is becoming some type of a song and dance for me to go through and just take a stab at it while it tries to take a stab at me. So we're having a little spiritual game there, but it's enjoyable because alertness and the presence is there in that moment when it happens. Oh, I messed up. Oh, I could have waited another second, it would have been different. So that part of awareness is becoming a very well-placed space. So as you go on in your journey today and the next day and the day after, please ask yourself what part of my personality is okay to be evolved into something more than I want it to be. And let the time or your patience let you come close to your answer.